I was born deaf, and my parents didn't find out until I was about 6 months old. At 9 months old, I was fitted with my first pair of hearing aids, and I've worn hearing aids ever since then. I think one of the funniest things is when I meet someone for the first time and I tell them that I'm deaf, they automatically have a disbelief because I speak so well. And it changes their perception on how different it is for everyone. There's people who rely on ASL, there's people who grew up oral, there's people who SimCom, which is signing and talking at the same time. And before coming to RIT, I did not know sign. I learned sign language when I was about 9 months old, which is when I first got my hearing aids. Growing up oral, I feel like I benefited from it. And in some ways, I'm thankful for that. But at the same time, I would have loved to know sign language growing up. But that was a decision that my parents had made, and they were just doing what they thought was best, which is okay. Not a lot of parents know what to do when they have a child that is born deaf. And that can be hard because it's a matter of, okay, do I fit this child with hearing aids? Do I get them a cochlear implant? Or do I just let them grow up with no assistance at all? And I really think it depends on the situation and your family. And really, your parents just want what's best for you. I never have someone to relate with. Everyone in my family was hearing. There's no history of deafness in my family. There's no reason as to why I was born deaf. Everything is just unknown. Most people don't know what it's like to be deaf, and there are psychological effects to being deaf. Growing up, I had severe depression and anxiety, and there's a family history of that, but it was more focused on not knowing how to cope with always missing what was being said. I think it's interesting how if you were born deaf and you grew up oral, you're not accepted into the deaf culture, which doesn't make sense, but it does at the same time. Because deaf culture really focuses on ASL, which is, their way of communicating. But then when you have the hearing culture who have no idea what ASL is, then that becomes a problem. Before coming to RIT, I didn't know sign language. My first year, I struggled a lot because most of the friends that I made were completely deaf, and they either spoke a little bit or they were just full-on American Sign Language. And that was quite a culture shock to me. But I had friends who were willing to work with me and teach me sign language, and it's my third year here and I'm doing fantastic. Although I do prefer speaking just because that's how I grew up. I personally feel like there is a divide between the hearing culture and the deaf culture. And even though most people in the deaf culture tend to be open, I feel like sometimes that's not true. This is my chance of really just kind of putting it out there that there is a divide between the hearing culture and the deaf culture. The hearing culture, I feel like, could do a better job of not treating deafness as a disability, because it's not. It just means that we can't use our ears. Now, I can hear pretty well with my hearing aids, and I can hear just the same as a normal person who had no hearing loss. But there are some difficulties, such as like whispering, mumbling, and covering your mouth. Those are the things that make it harder. And a lot of people don't understand that. In some ways, I'm thankful that I was born deaf, because I feel like it's really humbled me who I am as a person. But also, I see it as an opportunity to educate others. So there's different types of hearing loss. I range in the severe to profound range, which is basically without my hearing aids, I can't hear anything. And I am a candidate for a cochlear implant, but I choose not to do it because I've been wearing hearing aids all my life, and that's what feels normal to me. It's different for everyone, but I feel that whatever you are okay with, you should stick with. My name is Lily Bean, and this is my story.